is Andrea. Welcome to my professional practice video. So in this video, I will cover what I've learned during this second year, what I've gained, what I felt, and how I become a new person.
My reflective journey starts with my diagnosis test. I choose temperament test to define my natural behavior tendency, especially under stress or in social interactions, as I found the idea that temperament is the biological core of personality resonate to my belief. At the beginning of the course, I received the INFP result, but when taking it again by the end of the course, it results in ENFJ, as I used to be when in Vietnam. So, what does this shift mean? As per my understanding, INFP refers to being imaginative, value-driven, and introspective that easily fit in the behind-the-scene roles. I felt it resonated as when first come here, everything is so new to me that part of me feels scared and prefer to observe rather than being involved. However, after a long enough period of time, the decisions of moving aboard pushed me into new social and academic dynamics to interact more, pitch ideas, collaborate across culture, and confidently present my idea, which are very ENFJ. Personally, I don't think I'm becoming a total different person. I'm growing. My introverted empathy and idealism are still present, but now I'm learning to express them outwardly, lead with confidence, and collaborate actively. Based on this self-diagnostics test, my strengths and weaknesses have been uncovered. My strength lies on having visions and purpose that effectively pave the way for every project, with creative storytelling that helped me become outstanding, with exceptional ideas and empathy and people focus, which is extremely important when being a leader. However, I still have rooms to grow, as I tend to be sensitive when taking feedbacks from others, or being a people pleaser, which can be a threat when a project needs a determined leader. Overall, to me, this test offers a structured way to reflect on personality traits. However, I believe these assessments still have limitations, as they only provide a snapshot, not a full picture, as personality can change with experience and personal development. Additionally, results can be influenced by mood, context, or self-perception bias. I believe they should be combined with real-world experiences and feedbacks for a more holistic understanding of a personal strengths and weaknesses. Now, talking about my personal development plans, I made a vision board which helped visualize long-term and short-term goals. There are 5 goals in totals, with 2 short-terms and 3 long-terms. First and foremost, my goal is to achieve a distinction in this course. I enrolled with the intentions of broadening my horizon in the field, and I aim to fully absorb the knowledge, case studies, and academic resources provided throughout the program. With a total of 118 credits, I expect to have most of the modules completed by May 2025. Based on my current performance, achieving distinction in the majority of the modules, I'm on track to reach 77% overall, which significantly contributes to my final degree classification. I would say this goal is about 90% complete, with my full focus on now delivering a strong final consultancy project to secure that distinction. Second, building my personal branding is a top priority, as I want to position myself as a strong, standout candidate in the eyes of hiring managers. To achieve this, I've developed a thoughtful content strategy tailored to different social media platforms, Instagram, LinkedIn, and TikToks, each with specific objectives. I'm supporting this journey with a self-improvement tracking, a growing portfolio, and a competitor peer analysis to refine my approach. While challenges like self-doubt, defining a clear USB, and navigating a highly competitive landscape remain, I'm actively working through them with support from classmates, friends, and my personal tutors, and also college. This goal is still in progress, but I've already started posting personal branding content on LinkedIn and sponsored student-related content on TikTok, both of which have begun to gain encouraging engagement. Third, one of my long-term goals is to build my own business based on digital art. I know this journey requires a well-planned, long-run strategy. It's definitely not something that happens overnight. Like any other business, conducting throughout market analysis is the key, which means I will need to access to detailed industry reports and consumer insights. As the sole creator of all my original artwork, digital tools like my iPad, along with quality materials and product samples, are essential to my creative process. That said, there are plenty of challenges. The digital art market is highly competitive, and I'm still learning how to navigate suppliers, and balancing this with my current schedules can be tough. So far, I would say I'm about 25% into this goal, but I've already hit a small milestone by selling my first piece of artwork to an international customer. It's a slow process, but I believe in moving steadily and intentionally toward this dream. Fourth, and definitely not least, is my dream of becoming a part-time traveler. As an international student, exploring the UK is one of my top-tier personal goals. I truly believe that the more you discover the world, the more perspective and value you can offer to others. That's my travel motto. To make this happen, I know I need a solid plan, clear budgets for each trip, organized itineraries, and smart spending to avoid going overboard. For inspiration, I often turn to social media. Travel vloggers, bloggers, and YouTubers are my go-to sources for discovering hidden gems and must-visit spots across the UK. Of course, there are a few bumps along the way. Traveling can be pricey, which is always a challenge for students. Plus, things like safety concerns or unfamiliar public transport systems sometimes slow me down. Still, this is very much an ongoing project, and I'm proud to say my list of UK destinations keep growing. I can't wait to keep broadening my horizon and soaking in every beautiful corner this country has to offer. Finally, my fifth goal, securing a marketing-based job in the UK. I'm genuinely proud to share that I've already taken a big step in this direction. I recently landed a content creator role with a student housing brand called Unihomes. Looking back, I believe this happened because I've consistently stayed proactive, regularly checking job sites, keeping up with industry trends, and attending networking events to connect with mentors who can guide me on my career path. Balancing work, studies, and gaining experience hasn't been easy. It's definitely one of the biggest challenges. But the support I've received from my college, close mates, mentors, and friends has made a huge difference, and I'm really grateful for that. It's a journey that I'm still on, and I'm excited to keep growing in the UK marketing industry. As I am an international student who travel all the way from home here, I set a target to balance between studies and part-time work to meet my ends needs. That's why an effective time management plan is necessarily created. I spend 30% of my time on working, and the rest is on the completing pre-learning, lectures, workshops, and final assignments. I checked LinkedIn and Indeed every month to keep me up to date with the current career market. Moreover, I've also changed my approach to collaboration. Initially, I prefer working independently, but engaging in a diverse team projects has taught me to adapt to different working styles, manage conflicts, and leverage team strengths. Additionally, I have embraced evidence-based decision-making, applying theories to real-world business challenges more confidently. So, I realized the difference of practice through a very random question from my friend. How can you manage your timetable so well like that when you still have individuals and teamwork to do? At that point, the reflection starts to begin. I realized instead of drowning into deadlines and incomplete tasks like I used to be back in my first uni, I arranged workload appropriately with reasonable deadlines. Double deadline was being avoided to assure the task efficiency. Rather than do all the work on my own, I learned how to trust my teammates and collaborate with them to finish each person task. Moving to my CPD hours, a diversity of activities accounted for my 20 hours of CPD, classifying into academic activity and extracurricular activities. As part of my 20 hours of CPD this year, I engaged in a diverse mix of activities that reflect both my professional ambitions and personal development goals. This included joining the Women in Business Society, attending Global Responsibility and Personal Development Week events, helping to organize a Vietnamese culture booth during Global Week, representing my cohort as a course representative, working part-time as a Unihome student ambassador and receptionist, attending career networking events, and maintaining a regular gym sections to support my mental and physical well-being. So this choice aligned with my personal action plan, which focused on improving leadership, expanding my network, and building resilience. The Women in Business Society allowed me to meet ambitious professionals who share similar goals. Through listening to their journeys, I realized that the power of long-term vision and the importance of carving out space for women in leadership roles. Moreover, organizing the Vietnamese culture booth strengthened my project coordinations and intercultural communication skills. More importantly, it taught me the value of cultural authenticity and representation, lessons I now apply when creating content as a Unihome student ambassadors. I've shifted from surface-level content to a more meaningful storytelling that reflects real student experiences. The Global Responsibility Week sections were eye-opening. The talk on sustainability and corporate leadership helped me to connect environmental ethics to brand credibility. Now, when analyzing or promoting brands, I evaluate how sustainability is embedded in their operations, not just their marketing. The session on social inequality through art sparked a new appreciation for creative activisms. It inspired me to think beyond commercial outcomes and consider how advertising can challenge stereotypes or elevate unheard voices. Similarly, attending the Positivity Mindset workshop made me feel aware of my internal dialogue. I used to equate busyness with productivity. Now I consciously incorporate reflections and self-kindness into my workflow, which has helped me to reduce burnout and improve my leadership in work group projects. Being a course representative taught me negotiation and conflict resolution. I learned how to listen actively, represent diverse opinions, and communicate constructively with faculty, skills directly transferable to team and clients relationships in the marketing field. Hard and soft skills also improved through my part-time roles, taught me adaptability, time management, and content strategy. Working as a student ambassador, I learned to plan campaigns that resonate with peers. As a restaurant receptionist, I hold patience and people skills, especially when handling pressures. These experiences made me more grounded, confident, and audience-focused. One thing I find really helpful is networking at the career fairs and postgraduate events that can expand my understanding of industry expectations. Initially, I was nervous about approaching employers, but over time, I became more comfortable initiating conversations and following up. This helped me to build my personal confidence and spark new opportunities. Lastly, going to the gym regularly has been essential to my personal resilience. It's not just about physical health, it's how I regulate stress, set goals, and maintain discipline. Together, these experiences have shifted how I view professional growth. I used to focus on outcomes. Now, I value the process. I've become more reflective, open to feedback, and intentional about aligning my actions to my values. I'm now collaborative, empathetic, and resilient, qualities that have improved how I engage with others, manage myself, and shape my future career. I believe learning about myself and developing my skills is essential because it helps me understand not only what I'm capable of, but also how I work best with others, adapt to challenges, and growth through feedback. In today's fast-changing job market, especially in competitive, creative fields like advertising and marketing, technical skills alone aren't enough. Self-awareness, emotional intelligence, and resilience are just as important in building a sustainable and fulfilling career. Through this personal development journey, I've changed in several ways. I've become more confident in my voice, more intentional in my actions, and more reflective in how I approach decisions. For example, now I seek feedback actively rather than just waiting for it, and I don't hesitate to take the lead in group projects or networking events. I've learned that growth doesn't come from a comfort, but from being willing to try, fail, and improve. And understanding myself has also made me more empathetic and strategic, both key traits for a future career in marketing communication. Whether it's understanding audience needs, collaborating across cultures, or managing my mental well-being, this journey has equipped me with lifelong skills that will continue to evolve with my career.
To deepen my understanding of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, I explore resources from the UN's SDG Knowledge Platform, watch case studies from UN's Global Compact webinars, and attended university-hosted events during the Global Responsibility Week. So these opportunities help me to gain insights about the theoretical knowledge to see how the SDGs are applied in real-life cases. And I also analyze how companies integrated SDGs into their strategies, particularly in marketing and advertising, and observing how brands use them not just for CSR, but to drive innovations, relevance, and purpose-led growth. And what stood out for me is that the SDGs offer a common language across the sectors to address global challenges, from inequality to climate resilience. They matter because they encourage all actors, from businesses, governments, institutions to individuals think beyond short-term profit and align with long-term impact. In my consultancy work, they provide a valuable lens for evaluating sustainability, stakeholder engagement, and social responsibilities, especially when recommending strategy for public institutions like libraries that sit at the intersections of the educations, inclusions, and community well-being. As a future marketing and advertising professional, I see enormous potential to contribute meaningfully to SDG 5, gender equality, SDG 10, reduce inequality, and SDG 12, responsible consumption and productions. This year, my work as a student ambassador and involvement in inclusive initiatives like Global Week Cultural Booth and the Women in Business Society deepened my belief in the power of storytelling to shape social attitudes. Moreover, by conducting my creative marketing communication modules, I developed a campaign pitch tackling ageism in the workplace towards young women. And it reinforced for me how powerful storytelling can be in challenging bias, shaping perceptions, and advocating for change. These experiences show me that marketing isn't just about promotion, it's about influence, visibility, and values. I aim to use creative communication to challenge stereotype, amplify diverse voices, and promote ethical, sustainable brands that align with global goals. I'm particularly passionate about campaigns that empower underrepresented communities, spotlight mindful consumption, and push for long-term impact over short-term trends. Purpose-led marketing excites me because it has the ability not only to sell, but also to educate, humanize, and drive behavior change. So in the future, I want to be a part of a movement that uses branding as a force for equity and progress. To me, responsible management means leading with integrity, balancing stakeholder interests, and embedding sustainability into every decision, not as a side project, but as core strategy. It matters because businesses are no longer judged by profit alone, but by how they treat people and the planet. So the rise of ethical consumerism and ESG reporting shows that credibility now depends on transparency and impact. Personally, I'm inspired by brands that live their values, those that make sustainability a habit, not just for headlines. In my future career, I would promote responsible management by questioning purpose in every brief, championing award, inclusive campaigns, and working only with partners who share those values. So during our first modules, the principle of marketing, my team was working on a group website. One team member consistently refused to complete their assigned task, even when deadlines were approaching. I took the initiative to encourage and motivate him, checking in regularly and trying to understand if there was any personal barriers. Despite this effort, it's like a contribution continued, and with the deadlines approaching, I made the decisions to stay up late and refine the group's work myself to ensure that our submission met the brief and academic standards. The result was that we submitted a complete assignment on time, but it was stressful and unfairly demanding for those who contributed. Looking back, I realized I should have escalated the issue earlier to the tutor, rather than just trying to resolve it all internally. I've learned that while it's important to be supportive and patient, effective teamwork also requires accountability and setting clear boundaries. In the future, I'll be more assertive about addressing issues early and ensuring workload is distributed fairly to protect both team morale and performance. When it comes to these questions, I must say that it's really hard to answer because there's a lot of characteristics to make a successful manager. But here's my top 3. Empathy, adaptability, and clear communications. So empathy is crucial because a good manager must understand team dynamics and individual needs to build trust and motivation within the team. Adaptability matters in today's fast-changing world. Advanced technologies happens and you have to be aware of everything's changing around you. And the manager will need to make quick, thoughtful decisions under pressure. And without clear communication, even the best strategy can fail due to misunderstanding or misalignments. And I believe I'm developing well in these areas. As a course representative, I've learned to listen and represent diverse views with empathy. And my part-time roles have helped me to become more adaptable. Juggling study, work, and leadership requires constant adjustment. And through content creation and team project, I've improved my ability to communicate clearly across different audiences. While I still have room to grow, especially in giving constructive feedback with confidence, I feel I'm on the right path. to becoming a great manager who leads with clarity, care, and flexibility.